to my classroom. Today we're talking about classifying plants. And classifying just means to put things into groups. So if you're at a school, you have a pre-K, pre-kindergarten, you have kindergarten, you have first grade, second grade, third grade, etc. On up. Those are different groups of students, okay, based on their age mainly. Okay. So we put things into groups, and scientists do this with the animals and with the plants. So plants have a history on our planet, and I've got some interesting ones to show you. This is one that you may have seen out in the forest, perhaps, growing on a tree or growing on a rock, maybe. It's called moss. It's a teeny tiny plant. Okay, it never gets very big, and it doesn't have roots, and it absorbs water directly through its little leaves. Okay, I just spritz this one with water, and it turns green. If you look at it with a hand lens, it's like a tiny forest. It's called moss. Okay. So it's a very ancient plant. Now I've got another ancient plant. And I have a dinosaur in here because this is one of the plants that dinosaurs like to eat, okay? When dinosaurs were alive, the plants that we see weren't there, okay? They had not evolved yet. So the dinosaurs were eating ferns. Some of the ferns grew to the size of giant trees, okay? Today, most of them are kind of short. They're like a little extra water, and you might have one like this in your classroom or at home or in a garden. And these plants don't have flowers and they don't have seeds, okay? They grow from things called spores. And sometimes on the underside of a leaf, you can see little dots on them. And those are the spores, and that's how they grow new ferns. So ferns are quite beautiful. And the dinosaurs really like them. Another plant that dinosaurs like to eat are the cone-bearing plants, the conifers. You may have seen a pine cone. You may have seen a pine tree. Okay, we don't have a lot of them here in this part of Texas, but there people plant them sometimes. And they don't have flowers. They have seeds. The seeds are down inside the cone. We do have a couple of conifers that you might see around in a garden or in the park or in the woods. And it's this one, cedar. Okay, it doesn't have leaves. Okay, like most of the other plants. Okay, it has these little kind of scaly things, and it's another conifer. It has little needles. Okay, little needles, and if you pinch it, and smell it, it's kind of prickly, and it's a strong smell. I think it smells good, but animals and deer and insects don't like to eat that. Doesn't taste very good. So that smell kind of protects it. And this time of year, if you're at your hand lens, you can look at these cedars, and sometimes you can find little tiny yellow things on the ends that look like tiny pine cones, because this is another kind of conifer, coneberry plant. Today, most of our plants are what we call flowering plants. And this time of year, it's a great time to go out and look for some wildflowers, okay? And I went outside and I found some teeny tiny ones. Let me break that off. Some teeny tiny flowers, okay? They're bright and easy to find, so that tiny insects can come and get nectar and take the pollen around and make seeds. Others are bigger, okay? A bit bigger for bigger pollinators, like a bee. You see that pollen in the center of this transcanthia? Okay, so the color alert says, here I am, come pollinate me. But then there are also a lot of flowering plants. A lot of people don't realize they have flowers at all. They don't even think about it. Like the trees, most of our trees are flowering plants, but most people never notice that. And the grasses, so see little black things on there? See them. See little black things hanging down there? You see those little black things? Those are the flowers, okay? And these are not pollinated by insects, they're pollinated by the wind. If you have allergies, you're having allergies to grasses and the trees, most of the trees. So the flowering plants are all around us. And you can also root plants by their leaves, okay? By what they're, if you're talking about the flowering plants, with their leaves, what kind of leaves do they have? They're big ones, and got big ones, we got small ones, okay, big ones and small ones. We can also look at the veins. So two big groups are represented here. So if you look at the veins on this oak leaf and this grass, okay, these those lines, that's the veins. That's where the water goes, okay, up from the roots to the stem, out to the leaf, all parts of, see how they get smaller and smaller, all the way out. And then the leaf makes food, makes sugar, and it goes out to the veins again to the rest of the plant. Notice these kind of branch off like a great giant tree, and these are all straight lines. So these are two big groups, okay, called the dicots and the monocots. And these include the irises and the yuccas and the grasses, okay. The grasses are interesting because if you feel the edge, it's often kind of sharp and scratchy. If you look at it with your hand lens, you can see it's like a tiny knife, and that's help protect it from those hungry animals that might want to eat it. A fun thing to do is to make some little art things. You can take a leaf like this, put it between pieces of paper, okay, with the veins up, and then rub it with the crayon, and you can see what the leaf looks like. And that way you can compare different leaves and look at different shapes of different kinds of leaves. Okay, so lots of interesting shapes out there. And then, or you can just put it down and just trace around it to get the shape. So you use the shapes and also the veins. Another fun thing to do is to press your leaves. Okay, like you press a shirt, iron a shirt to go to a party. You can take leaves, and again, you put them between two pieces of paper, and then you put that paper inside a heavy book, and in just one day, okay, look at that shape. It's a heart shape. Isn't that nice? Okay, and look how different the veins are. Okay, a real different pattern. You can look at all kinds of interesting outlines or shapes on the outside and the pattern of the veins. And you just take that paper, take a piece of paper, put your leaves inside, and then put them folded over, not on top of each other. And then you can put them in a nice heavy book, and wait a couple of days, and they'll be nice and dried and flat. And then, even more fun, you can glue them on a piece of paper, and you can make a design. You can make groupings of different shapes and sizes, or you can even make a little picture, like what my students did, of this little cute little animal, one walking and one flying, okay, with your leaves. It's a really fun project to do. There's one kind of plant that doesn't even have any leaves anymore, our friend the cactus, okay? So all kinds of interesting things to learn about plants. They're important for us, the animals, for our survival, and the great thing about them is they can't run away. So you can go out there and study them to your heart's content.